Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we're going to be doing the next subclass in the subclass series. Today we're going to be talking about the subclasses from the older book that came out a few years ago, the Tal'dorei Campaign Setting. So we're going to go through the first subclass on that today, which is the Blood Domain Cleric.
And all these subclasses are not technically 5th edition official.
Yes, they're unofficial.
The unofficial official, because they're published in cooperation with Wizards and everything. A lot of times.
Matt Mercer has lots of connections with Wizards, so he has a lot of stuff that he can get help with things. So.
Yeah, and they've pulled people in from the Wizards team to help with the book and things like that. And I know they're making a second book.
Yes, they're doing actually an update to this. It's going to be bigger, and there's going to be a bunch of classes in it as well. So yeah, lots of stuff with that in the future. But for today, if you're new to the channel or to the subclass series, what we're going to do is go through all the abilities gained in this subclass, and then we're going to rate it based on its roleplay value, combat value, and overall class synergy based on how the abilities gained in this subclass improve on the base class abilities. Also, we have a giveaway for the D&D Beyond Players Bundle, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to be entered in that as well. So we'll jump straight into it.
Blood Domain Cleric.
Yes.
And as with all clerics, you get free spells. And this spell list is very interesting.
Yes.
And I wish I had it. Because you get some early spells that don't scale as well, but they're great early, like Sleep, Ray of Sickness, Ray of Enfeeblement, Crown of Madness. Spells that are great early on, but don't scale as well. Then you get fun stuff like Haste, and Slow, and Blight, Stone Skin, fine. Dominate Person, not just Hold Person, and Hold Monster. That's fun.
Yeah. Definitely. Some good spell options on there.
I would love to be casting Haste on people. Be great. Also, at level 1, you get access to martial weapons, but not heavy armor. So,
yeah, it's a little weird.
Also at first level, because, clerics. Level 1. Bloodletting Focus. When you use a spell slot of first level or higher to inflict damage on any creatures that have blood, so no constructs and things, no blood in there, those creatures suffer additional necrotic damage equal to 2 plus that spell's level.
Yes.
So AoE spells, that's going to be pretty decent. Single target, not great, but it's still free extra damage.
Yes.
And no one complains about free extra damage.
Yes. Level 2.
Because
Channel
you're clerics.
Divinity. Yes. You get 2 options for this. First is Blood Puppet. You can use your Channel Divinity to briefly control a creature's actions against their will. As an action, you target a large or smaller creature that has blood within 60 feet of you.
That's a recurring theme.
Yes. That creature must succeed on a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC or immediately move up to half of their movement in any direction of your choice and make a single weapon attack against a creature of your choice within range. Wordy. Dead or unconscious creatures automatically fail their saving throw. At 8th level, you can target a huge or smaller creature. I always think, with this one, I think of an Avatar, Last Airbender. Like the blood bending, forcing them to act and attack.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that.
I would, if it's me, I have to spend my whole action to try this. I'm waiting until I knock something unconscious and then do it.
Yeah, it's a little bit safer, especially with bigger things. And then your second option on here is Crimson Bond. This is the RP option on here. Mm-hmm. Starting at 6th level, you can use your Channel Divinity to focus on a sample of blood from a creature that is at least 2 ounces that has been spilt no longer than a week ago. As an action, you can focus on the blood of the creature to form a bond and gain information about their current circumstances. You know the distance, approximately, and direction from you, as well as their general state of health, as long as they are within 10 miles of you. You can maintain this effect as though you were concentrating on a spell for up to 1 hour. During the bond, you can spend an action to attempt to connect with the bonded creature's senses. Target makes a con save against your spell save. If they succeed, the connection is resisted, ending the bond. You then suffer 2d6 necrotic damage. Upon a failed saving throw, you can choose to either see through their eyes or hear through their ears of the target for a number of rounds equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of 1. During this time, you are blind or deaf, respectively, depending on which one you chose. Once the connection ends, the Crimson Bond is lost. So then it has a health state example. So basically 100% is they're untouched, 99% to 50% is they're injured, 49% to 1% is heavily wounded, and 0% is unconscious or dying, and they dead if they're below that. If they're below 0, they're dead, which is weird. So that is interesting on there. Then we have at level 8, Sanguine Recall. At 8th level, you can sacrifice a portion of your own vitality to recover expended spell slots. As an action, you recover spell slots that have a combined level equal to or less than half of your cleric level, rounded up. And none of the spell slots can be 6th level or higher. You immediately suffer 1d6 damage per spell slot level recovered. You can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. And then an example it gives is, say you're 8th level, you can recover up to 4 levels of spell slots. You can recover a 4th level spell slot, 2 level 2, a 3rd level, and a 1 level, or 4 first level spells, and then you suffer 4d6 damage.
Got it.
So at level 20, you could recover up to 10 levels, but the highest level of the spell can only be can't be above 6th level.
Yeah.
So
above 5 level. It can't be 6th or higher.
Yeah, sorry, correct. It can't be above 5th level.
It's very
it can't be 5th level,
uniquely worded there.
It's weird. Usually, it can't be 6th level or higher.
Yep. And finally, at 17, we have Vascular Corruption Aura. What some fun names they have in here. At 17 level, you emit a powerful aura as an action that extends 30 feet from you and pulses necrotic energy through the veins of nearby foes, cause them to burst and bleed. It sounds like an evil paladin aura. Kind of is. Yeah. For 1 minute, any enemy creatures with blood, again, recurring theme, that begin their turn within the aura or enter it for the first time on their turn immediately suffer 2d6 necrotic damage. Any enemy creature with blood that would regain hit points within that aura only regain half of the intended number of hit points rounded up. Once you use feature, can't use it again until you finish a long rest. So the damage isn't very much, but it is, again, free extra damage. And that just knocking out somebody's heal.
Yeah, that's nice.
That could be very nice.
That's probably more interesting than the damage, though it is free damage, so don't ever write that.
Never complain about free damage.
So, those are all of the abilities gained in the subclass, so now we'll move on into the rating portion of the video.
Correct.
First up is the roleplay value asterisk. As always, when talking about roleplay value, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside of the initiative order. Not talking about class fantasy, history, lore, background that's on you as a player. We can't rate you, but we can rate the abilities gained in this subclass and how they might improve your potential in those roleplay scenarios. So, all that out of the way.
Yes.
Looking back at the options in the class, we have an interesting spell list on here. It's mostly focused on the combat section, but there are some niche uses on here for some of these spells for the RP. And then looking at the channel divinity options with Crimson Bond, being able to basically scry/locate object, or locate persons, more what it's like, is definitely interesting. It is a little strange that it's such a short period of time, but I guess if you have a wisdom modifier, it's probably going to be 4 or 5 anyways. So you're talking about 30 seconds of seeing through someone's eyes or hearing what they hear.
Yeah.
That's, enough to probably gauge where they're at or something.
Yeah.
So you could probably get a pretty good read on them like that. Essentially, like it's probably more interesting than a scry, because with scry, it's like you focus in on them. But if you're seeing through their eyes, you can see a lot of their surroundings more than you would if you were just scrying on them.
Right.
So something to keep in mind as well.
Yep. It doesn't cost you the 1,000 gold worth of materials either.
Right. Exactly. You do have to have their blood, though, so that could be hard to come by.
True.
So do with that as you may. And then I think the best thing about this subclass, just all around, is being able to regain the spell slots. So it's kind of an indirect buff to your RP, because then you don't have to worry about burning RP slots, because then you can just hurt yourself a little bit and gain some combat.
Take that, back. Wizard. I can get spells back, too.
Yeah, right. So with the roleplay on here, we went with a 3 out of 5 on the combat. Or on the combat, on the roleplay, am I saying?
Roleplay 3 out of... Yeah.
I'm getting excited.
And in honor of the combat scoring rating and what this subclass was about today, I did wear my Flesh Wound shirt today. We got our Blood Cleric and blood's involved. Thematically accurate t-shirts, people.
Checks out.
Checks out. And again, a lot of this stuff is going to roll over and make sense. With the combat spells list, you're getting access to some great buff, debuff spells with, haste and slow, and the dominates, the raise, crown of madness, blight. You get some good damage, some good buff, debuff, nice, good, complete spell list in there for free. Martial weapons is solid. Why not heavy armor if you're going to give the martial weapons? I'd rather have the heavy armor and not the martial weapons.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah. That doesn't really make sense to me.
All right, whatever. Free extra damage. Never coming out free extra damage in Bloodline Focus. Channel Divinity, the Blood Puppet. The con save thing makes me a little concerned because you're fighting big stuff. They're going to have good con saves, but the thing that saves it for me is the dead and unconscious creatures automatically fail the saving throw. So if you can knock the big guard dog creature, I'm putting guard dog in parentheses, unconscious first, and then his caster master is still there, you're like, go up, smack you, buddy.
Yeah, right.
That's going to hurt a lot more. Because if it's one of these guys who swings twice, but he does like 3d8 per swing, that's going to hurt a little bit more. Especially if, you don't want to spend a spell slot or whatever the case may be there. The only thing with Channel of Indies in general, a lot of them do take your whole action to do, so that's a little bit of a drawback. The other Channel of Indy, of course, is strictly RP. Same with Recall helps both your RP and your combat because you're going to get spell slots back.
Right.
Nothing casters love more than getting spell slots back. And finally, the Corruption Aura, again, never complain about free damage. It does extend 30 feet out, so it's decent space around you. Does last for a minute. Is once a day. That's But the niche use, but most impactful thing that you get here, outside of free spells, is the fact that you can negate 50% of healing on targets inside your thing. So because there's a lot of creatures that like to regain hit points if you don't hit them with a certain type of damage, or they're full-on casters that can heal themselves. If you're in there for 10 rounds of combat, mixing it up with them, whatever else, like they go for a heal spell on themselves instead of giving them 7, it only gives them 35.
Right.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's a big deal when it works.
Yeah. So there's some niche things there. Interesting spell list. You do take damage when you get the spell slots back, so that's kind of a lot of the stuff that kind of limits it a little bit more on the combat side of things is having to have blood to target to trigger it. So if you're fighting undead stuff, it doesn't have
questionable.
It's questionable.
Constructs
definitely don't. Oozes, plants don't really have. Aberrations and like spectral things, so there's a lot of gray area if it's not humanoid and beast. There's a lot of gray area there otherwise. So that we put the score to a 3.5 out of a possible 5. Because what you do get very impactful, getting spell slots back, other things like that. But the whole has blood in there does limit it on some of the other abilities.
For sure, and some of like the limitations on like the capstone and things like that as well. And then lastly, we have the overall class synergy. Spell list is pretty decent. There's a good mix of spells on here for utility and versatility on here, especially with Dominate and Hold Monster. Dominate Person, Hold Monster, it can definitely come into play. Having the Channels of Indie options as well can definitely come into play. Like Alex said, though, with Constitution saves, and especially with it scaling to huge creatures, they're probably going to have huge con scores. So
by definition, huge creatures are big. I mean, that's gargantuan, I believe, or maybe huge, actually.
I think it might normally be huge. The mini's definitely gargantuan.
He should just go up to gargantuan size. Imagine this thing fail on a con save. Guess what? It's not gonna.
Against someone like this guy right here.
He's not gonna. Unless he rolls a 1, so.
Yes. Also, looking at it on here, I mean, with clerics, your main things to work with are Channel Divinity, your spells, and, I mean, maybe some proficiencies. One thing that I do actually notice on here that I didn't really think too much about when reading through this is the Divine Strike that pretty much every cleric, I think, almost every cleric
most clerics get. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Either the cantrip bonus or the Divine Strike. Like the melee bonus or the cantrip bonus, and then this doesn't have that. It just has, you get extra spell slots back, so that's cool.
I mean,
so
as somebody who plays cleric, I think I'd rather have the extra spell slots back.
And definitely, again, with the aura of anti-healing, could definitely makes it very interesting as well. So, all this being said, we're kind of repeating ourselves on here with the combat and stuff on here. So, with Synergy, we went also with a 3.5. Some nice options available, but nothing super crazy. Getting spell slots back can definitely be pretty impactful. But you are hurting yourself, so you're going to have to either use hit die or spells to compensate for that damage. Otherwise, you're going to be... I mean, if you recover, 10 levels worth of spells at level 20, you're taking a solid chunk of damage.
I mean, 10d6, average that out to 40 damage. You're not quite 40 damage.
35, 40.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Yeah, it'll add up.
You'll feel that for sure.
Yeah. So, again, 3.5 across on there. So, across the double digits, so not too shabby.
Solid.
So that's going to be all for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so whenever our new videos are coming out. Don't forget about that giveaway. We got another round coming as soon as that's done. And that's it for today, guys. As always, thanks for watching. As well, and then also, look at the